Yeah, that's correct.
Alrighty, so let me share my screen. Alrighty, so presentation today is on erectile dysfunction, and there's literally only going to be a couple of slides. So all I really want you to do is meditate on what you see on the screen, if possible, and absorb the words that I'm going to share with you. Now, my brothers, I want to say this clearly from the start. I am not a doctor. I am also not a nutritionist. I'm not here tonight to convince you. I'm not here to hype you up, scare you, or sell you a fantasy. I'm here to share what I understand, not from opinion, but from observation, from experience, and most importantly, from the maths. Everything I'm about to say has been run through what I call the maths machine. That means we take symptoms, stories, struggles, and we trace them back to the ratios that run our bodies. This isn't about belief. This is about biological equations, the kind that don't care how you feel about them. So my job is simple. I take the signs, I decode the patterns, and I show you the ratio. And I also introduce you to a formula, P84, designed to reset. Now, once I do all of that, what you do with that, that's your maths. But let's be clear. The numbers are already speaking. And this evening, it's really about listening. So, I want you to either say this out loud or I want to think it. What we know, or we know what ED usually means. But tonight, we're going to be flipping that acronym. So it's not going to be erectile dysfunction. It's going to be early deterioration. Because the truth is, before the body fails, at the surface, something's already failing at the root. Our gut, our blood flow, our energy, our clarity. All of it is maths, and the ratios are off. So the equation is, are we ignoring the signs, or are we ready to reset the code? Now, for those who don't know, 90%, yes, 90% of serotonin is gut made. Testosterone levels is gut influenced. Okay. Now we have blood flow, clarity, confidence. It's all rooted in microbiome stability. So we're not broken, we're out of balance. And P84 is not a magic pill. It's a maths
I didn't even see
correction.
anybody there.
Sorry about that. It's a maths correction. The ratios change, the results follow. See? So The body always speaks, and it speaks small signs at first. We're always looking for the big sign, but our body speaks small signs first. Erectile dysfunction, right? Fatigue, weight gain, brain fog. They all have data points. We as men, we're trained to wait for crisis. Instead, we must learn to respond early. And I hold my hand up to this. As a man, when illness sets in, we bury our heads in the sand because we've been conditioned. It's a sign of weakness to admit that we are ill. So we're trained to wait for crisis. Instead, we must learn to respond early. We have to understand that our body is a system and it doesn't scream first, it whispers. That random tiredness, that mental fog, that low mood, or the weight creeping on, that's not random. It's data. You have to remember, your health is not mystical. It's measurable. Your health is not mystical. It is measurable. And too many of us brothers, we wait until the dashboard is blinking red. So this is about listening to the maths early and correcting course. Now with the right inputs, the body resets. And P84 gives you that leverage. Now, I want to share some stats with you. Imagine this. You're with your partner. You're feeling the moment. And suddenly, nothing happens. You try to brush it off, but it happens again and again. Now, you're worried. You're embarrassed. And maybe even avoiding intimacy. Now, if this sounds familiar, we're going to go down the rabbit hole a little bit. You know, because the question is, why does this matter? That's the question. Well, erectile dysfunction isn't just about the bedroom. What it is, it's a barometer of our overall health. Did you know that 1 in 2 men, 52% between 40 and 70, will experience erectile dysfunction at some point? 1 in 2. The global erectile dysfunction market, which is treatments, medication, and devices, I want you to listen carefully, is expected to exceed $7.1 billion by 2027. When you check this, this is a massive growing issue. RJ, I'm just going to clarify who this person is. RJ. RJ in the house, can you hear me? Just want to make sure you can hear me. Brother RJ, can you hear me, my brother?
Yes, now I can.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Good, good, good. I just wanted to make sure you could hear me and that you could see my slide.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Alrighty. For those who don't know, today we're talking about erectile dysfunction and we're looking at the numbers. We're looking at the maths behind it because we want to make this subject tangible. When we're growing up in our youth, we don't even look on this. This is not even part of what we're even thinking about. But as we go up in age and certain things start to reach us, these things then become important. You know why? Because we now become one of the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. And once we know we are one of those numbers, the data, the statistics, we pay attention. So why does erectile dysfunction matter? Because it's not just about the bedroom. It's a barometer of our overall health. As I mentioned, 1 in 2 men between 40 and 70 will experience erectile dysfunction at some point. I mentioned about the market for erectile dysfunction, expected to exceed 7.1 billion by 2027. So erectile dysfunction is not rare, it's just really spoken about. So you're not alone. Over 30 million men in the US and 150 million worldwide experience erectile dysfunction. And it could be a warning sign of bigger health problems like heart disease, diabetes, etc. So let's go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole. What is erectile dysfunction? Well, the definition is that it is consistent inability to achieve or maintain an erection firm enough for sexual intercourse. Now, occasional erectile dysfunction is supposedly normal. It happens to almost all men due to stress, fatigue, or alcohol. Well, on some of these points, I have to disagree because when one says it is normal, yes, it is normal if you are stressed out, fatigued, or alcohol based. But if you're maintaining your microbiome, then it's not normal. And if you have chronic erectile dysfunction, that's a sign of a deeper problem. That is the sign of a deeper problem. Let me break down the maths. 40% of men at age 40 have erectile dysfunction. So that's 4 in 10. So if there's 10 of you in the room, 4 of you have erectile dysfunction at the age of 40. There's 50% of the men at the age of 50 have erectile dysfunction. And 60% at the age of 60. 6 out of 10 men in a room have erectile dysfunction. Can you see how common this is? When you do the maths, there's a total of 52% of men between 40 and 70 have some degree of erectile dysfunction. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? Because that's the question, really. It's all good and well talking about it.
How old was the guy? That's nothing. And she's in her 30s?
I I had a girl.
On mute,
I had a girl
on mute,
earlier this
on
week.
mute, on mute, on mute, on mute. Thank you, Si. You came off of mute just then. All right. Okay. So let's get to the let's get to the nitty-gritty. So we've spoken about erectile dysfunction. We have spoken about the stats behind it at the end of the day. And we could go on and on and on about it. But let's get to the nitty-gritty, shall we? Here's the thing. Now, let me as I mentioned, our body is a system. And it doesn't scream first, it whispers. Could be random tiredness, mental fog, low mood, or the weight creeping on. That's not random, it's data. Yeah? And too many men wait until the dashboard is blinking red. So this is about listening to the maths early and correcting course. With the right inputs, the body resets. And P84 gives you that leverage. Let's look at this. We're talking about a reset. Now, what is my experience? What can I tell you about this product? Well, when you look at the Love Biome products we have here, you have the Phyto Power O, which is the 2 bottles plus the Phyto Power O. They call that the Daily 3. That has now been superseded by the P84. So instead of having those 2 bottles and the Phyto Power O, we now have the P84. That product is a product that realigns the terrain in your gut. Now, every man in this room has a different story, but every story runs on the same ratio. Good bacteria versus bad bacteria, inflammation versus flow, decay versus discipline. Now, P84 was engineered to reset that ratio. Probiotics to repopulate, prebiotics to feed, polyphenols to protect. Love Biome have done all the work. They have done all of the work. If you come on this platform tonight to find out what ingredients is inside the ingredients that is inside the ingredients, then you've come to the wrong place. They have a number of other platforms that will break down every last nutrient that you want to know about. This session here looks at how we as brothers who are either carrying some kind of illness or ailment or know of somebody who is carried or who has, then this is the platform where we come and we bear the S on our chests. By sharing, we show that we care. If I can share my experience with you and the little knowledge that I know, that's my fraction. Then when you put your little fraction in, and as we go along, together we make one. So out of nonsense, we make sense. That's what this is really all about. So, as I mentioned, it's really about sharing products that I know make a difference. And for what the topic we were talking about, erectile dysfunction, we have the P84, which is superseded the Phyto Power O. Then you've also got the Phyto Power B, which blocks the sugar, the I that deals with your immune, and the Phyto Power X. The aim is to take them in collaboration with one another. Not necessarily all at the same time, but the aim is you want to get back to where you were. Erectile dysfunction did not just join you out of the blue. It didn't join you out of the blue. You were not reading the signs. And I get it. I get it. I had an enlarged prostate. I had bad circulation. I had liver problems. I was losing weight like nobody's business. And I'd always seen myself as someone who was very fit. But then I realized when I took sick that being fit and being healthy is not the same thing. So I had to take my head out of the sand that I buried it in. And when I did, these products were put in front of me. I had a choice. I could have gone to, I'd already gone to the doctors, I already had a blood test and the full Monty and whatever else. And it came back that I had all of these issues, but they stem from a leaky gut, an imbalanced gut. My gut was not in harmony. And these products were put in front of me at the right time. And I was in that frame of mind whereby I didn't really want to do medication because the side effects, and I didn't know all about it. As I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but I attended some of these meetings and I said, right, I'm going to go for it. And I haven't looked back. I have not looked back. The product reversed my illness, and now I take the product for maintenance to keep me where it is I need to be. As I mentioned, we all have a story. But it's really about listening to the maths early and correcting the cause. Now, we started with the question, what does ED really mean? So we decoded it. It's not as dysfunction, but as early deterioration. The kind that begins in silence beneath the surface, where ratios fall and sickness starts to whisper. We walked through the truth that our gut is our signal tower, our second brain, our early warning system. The math spoke, the signs lined up. And now, you know, you don't have to wait for the red lights. You don't have to wait for crisis. You don't have to wait for permission because you've got a formula. Not guesswork, not hype, precision. You have to understand something, family. P84 is a miracle, mathematical miracle in itself. It's a map. It's the microbial code designed to restore your original ratio. One scoop every day. A man reclaiming his equation. You don't need convincing. You already heard the numbers. Now the only question is, are you going to ignore the maths or finally reset the ratio? If you have a solution for what you are going through, it's important at this time, now is the time to share. If one doesn't have a solution and they believe that what they have heard is tangible enough and aligns with their way of thinking, then they need to speak with the person who shared this link with them and go further down the rabbit hole. Now, I could take this presentation onwards and upwards, sideways and backwards, and throw in as much maths as possible. But the aim is not really about that. The aim is simply to make you aware of the rabbit hole, take you down it slightly. Then it's down to you where you want to go from there. So does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? Or any thoughts they may have about what they've been through, what they are going through, if they know of anybody who is going through anything similar, or anything that just springs to mind from this particular session today. Or did I answer all the questions? Maybe I did. RJ14. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening. Can P84 help someone who just had prostate surgery?
Okay. Let me break it down for you again. That's a great question. Thank you for that. I am not a doctor and I am not a nutritionist. All I can share with you is what I have done for myself and any testimonies that people have come on this platform and shared. And those who are prostate, I was suffering from prostate, have spoken hugely about the P84 and what it's doing for them. And there are a couple of brothers who may come on, who may put their hand up and speak more deeply about it and about the effects it's having for them. Because, but what I can tell you is that it is okay to take with whatever your brother or whoever has done up until this point. Up until this point, there's been no adverse side effects mentioned about this product in any shape or form. But again, hopefully somebody will raise their hand who has gone through the process and enlighten you even further. And I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you. And one more question. Is it possible that this is recorded and we could hear it again?
It is recorded and it will go on my YouTube channel, and I'll drop the details in the chat so that you're able to direct people there so they can go and listen to it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Brother Sai in the house.
Hey, Pi, what's up? So Roger, I already told you the information anyways. I shared it with you. I text you back. So anyways, with regards to prostate, we know the master himself, alkaline sugar blocker John, is the resident expert with regards to anything prostate. As we know, he has used most of these products to help him in his battle with prostate cancer from 2010. And he comments and laments on it extensively. So we know, I not myself personally, but I know most of us that are on the call, to include our brother Robin, can say that we know many people who are utilizing the P84 system to help them as they recover from anything to do with the prostate. And we could get with Pastor John as well and talk with him, Roger, with regards to whoever you have that might be experiencing some prostate issues.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Beautiful. I also would like to say to Brother Roger, the reason why your question is profound as far as I'm concerned is because we are all fractions. And our reference point is always going to be different. It's a bit like if two planes who are supposed to be on the same coordinate, but they start off slightly off from each other. By the time they finish their destination, they are hundreds of miles apart because of where they started. So you asked a great question, and it's also important to bear in mind that just like trees, you don't react to the same thing at the same time. But because what it is we're reacting to comes from nature, trust me, what I can tell you is that I've done the numbers, and the numbers do add up. Based on that, from whatever you will hear from um, uh, one of our leaders, Pastor John, and the rest, you'll be in a position to make a conscious decision, so to speak. Yes. So thank you for that. Thank you for that question. And thank you, Brother Sai, for chiming in. Is there anybody else who'd like to chime in and say a few words about anything? Feel free. I will put my YouTube in the chat.
Good evening, Brother Pi. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, my brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Brother Pi, this is a very important subject for men, uh, and we all need to take heed of this important information because too many times maybe we ignore little warning signs. But I'm glad that we were able to touch this topic this afternoon, and then we can able to share it among our fellow men and brothers as we meet them day by day. So, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, my king. Respect your words every time. We've got some late people coming in just as we're about to finish the journey. Let's let them in. Brother Sai, you still got your hand up. Did you have something else you wanted to say? Please feel free.
I just wanted to say that it's, I just love the fact that we are all fractions, you know, improper fractions at that, coming together to make a whole. Because again, it's not mystical. It's measurable. It's always measurable. This thing is just totally, it's I don't know what to say. We should have a million men should be on this call right now. Thank you, brother. Brother Julius, my brother is here too. So, guys, this thing is just amazing. When we talk about uh, the young man in Jamaica, Pastor Dennis said to us that and he was real. And when you're transparent and you talk from your experience and you let other brothers know that, hey, listen, man, you're not alone in this situation. We all going through it, and it's not segregated. You know, it's we all have issues one way or the other. So when the brother said that he lost his wife, and before he lost his wife to cancer, he had to come to terms with the fact that the erectile dysfunction was a part of what he was going through, and his wife, she loved him, but she was she wasn't communicating the fact, but he knew that he was doing an injustice, you know, when they were in the bedroom. And he understood that. He came to the realization that he had a problem and he had to do better, you know. But and utilizing the P84 years after he's lost his wife, the brother was literally crying in front of over 200 women and several of us men, and telling his truth of his battle with erectile dysfunction. And he couldn't help his relationship. Unfortunately, his wife lost the battle with cancer, but it's real, you know. And if we would understand and realize that we have a problem, and I know my brother Julius will chime in, because if we cut back on some of the processed and ultra processed um, foods that we've been eating, and utilize this P84 system, the fight to power B, things will look better. Definitely will look better. So we give God and we thank we are thankful to Love Biome for, I don't know who that is, but somebody is trying to compete with me. But yeah, yeah, brother Pi, this is real, you know. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you for chiming in, my brother. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Alrighty. So how we doing, family? Is there anybody that would like to share a testimony, share a vibe, um, disagree on any points that were highlighted, or just throw out something that has resonated with them on this journey? Anybody? No pressure.
Well, I know my brother is about to speak, and I'm gonna make way for him, brother Julius. I know he's got a lot to share with maybe some of the guys that are here that haven't heard it. Go ahead, brother Julius.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good
It's a
afternoon.
pleasure being here, and I've
Afternoon.
always had. Hold on. I'm at my mechanic. He's dragging the jack around. Anyway, yes, I've always tried in my life to be honest and transparent because I've realized that us men, we have issues sharing. I was one of the young guys that was blessed. My father, his second language was English, his first language was Dutch. And this guy, he used to come put his arm around me, kiss me on the forehead, talk with me and stuff like that. And I thought that would have been the norm for most guys growing up. But come to find out, uh, that was, I mean, my father was the exception to the rule. I mean, the man had a drinking problem, which killed him. And I also ended up with a drinking problem. And I thank God I was delivered from it. But, we as guys, we don't know what it is to to share our feelings. I was one of them who my father allowed me to go that route. And yes, I was able to sit with him and talk with him. So when it comes to sharing and being honest and upfront about what I'm going through as a man, you know, I am very open, straightforward, and my claim to fame is that when I first got into got on the Zooms, I was the first guy to open up and say, "Hey, man, I had a limp D." You know, the the whole line went silent. I said, "Oh, well, they're gonna kick me off." The very next day, you all know how effervescent Dr. T is. She called me. She said, "Julius, man, you don't know what you did." That. The long and short of it is, the very next night, all the guys started coming out of the woodwork talking about their experiences. These are things that we spoke about on the heart, on the down low. Yo, bro, could you, do you have, do you have something to help me out? I'm having this problem. Do you know where I could get some Viagra? Do you know where I could get some Cialis? Do you know where I can get some Levitra? Or all the different male enhancement products that they're selling out there, and 99.99% of them don't work. I know. I spent thousands of dollars trying to get them because I've always had an active sex life, and now I'm getting older. The doctor is telling me that, oh, this is part of your aging, but yet still, I'm a legend in my own mind. I could remember what I used to do days, years ago, as though it was yesterday. So I got up on the Zoom one night and I said, I had erectile dysfunction, and this is what has happened to me. And because I'm using the daily tree right now, the first sign of these things working was me waking up with erections. I was waking up with so many different erections at night. Every once in a while I have to get up to pee. It was hard for me to pee. And as us men, we know once we are erect, pee ain't coming. I know I got up to pee. I know I should be peeing, but hey, I got to stand there over the toilet and hope that this erection goes away so I can pee, relieve myself, because I could feel that I need to relieve my bladder. Folks, these things work. And as men, when we become and we are able to embrace whatsoever situations that we are going through, it makes a difference in our life. Men are dying at an alarming rate. There's so many widows out there. Every once in a while you hear about a widower. Why? Because we do not embrace our feelings. We do not embrace the things that we're going through. We internalize it. Hence, stress is in the world right now. It used to be, I think it was last year, the number one killer. We are dropping dead from heart attacks and everything else because we refuse to talk about what we are going through. But folks, I had a problem. I was one of the senior members in this new center that they built in Brooklyn, Barclays Center. And I went to an African friend, one of the guys I was mentoring. And I said, I said, man, I got a limp. I need some help. And he looked at the guy, did not even blink. He said, Mr. Julius, you have to stop using so much sugar. You have to get rid of sugar. I never told the man that every night for years I had to have a slice of apple pie, and on top of it, I would put whipped cream. I never said that to him. When he said that to me, I blinked. He said, Mr. Julius, I am going to send to my country when someone is coming up. I will ask them to bring this thing called bitter cola. You need to sour your blood. You need to get your blood bitter. And you need to stop using sugar. Well, it was years of sugar abuse. It was years. So when the very next week he brought the stuff in, I started using it. And bitter cola, friends, is bitter. I started using it, after a while I got used to the bitterness and it helped a little bit. But remember, there's years and years of abuse of sugar and the pies and the cheesecake and the what is that that red velvet cake and the double chocolate cake. I was a sugar junkie. You see, I switched alcohol, which used to turn sugar into sugar in my body. When I got on the sober bandwagon, which was 2009, I started abusing sugar, I substitute one addiction for another. And I was suffering for it. I could remember back in the day when I was always athletic. You know, I can remember back in the day when running around Brooklyn, going from clubs to club. I always used to leave my girlfriend's home because when I went to a party, I went there by myself because I was going there expecting to meet someone new to take home. But guess what? Now I'm aging. I'm in my upper 50s. I'm in my 60s, my early 60s, and ain't nothing happening to me. And I could remember all them good times, at least I thought they were good times, all them times I used to have back in those days. But folks, one thing I have embraced, and I thank God for my father, is that he would sit with me and had me relate to him, tell him what I was going through. One time, a few friends of ours, we went on a road trip to our good friend died in Virginia Beach. And from us to get to him was a 7-hour journey. So three of us were supposed to be four. Three of us got in his vehicle and we were going there. We went there. His wife died of cancer. We went there to support him and to strengthen him, to tell him, yo, bro, we love you and so on and so forth. We got your back. We got your back and so on and so forth. So on the way back, This brother was driving. The brother whose vehicle we used. His wife called him and he came, he had her on speaker. Hi, D. His name starts with a D. Hi, D. Da, 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 how are you? And in the end, she said, I love you. And I'm sitting there, yo, bro, tell her you love her back. Tell her you love her back. He turned and he looked at me and he said, you know what? That's sissy stuff. I said, really? You mean to tell me you can't tell your wife, and who's several years younger than you can't tell your wife that you love her? He said, no, man, I don't do them stick. That's sissy stuff. Brothers, it's time we start embracing our emotions. It's time we start embracing whatsoever we're going through, being about it. The only way, one of the first things in alcoholism, they tell you, you have to admit that you have a problem. And without you admitting you have a problem, there's no help for you. There will never be a solution to your problem. I went to this guy, might as well call. I said, Darlington. His name is my African mentee. I said, Darlington. And I hope there are no women on here. I said, Darlington, I got a limp dick, man. I was open, honest, and upfront about it. And he immediately told me what my problem was, the abuse of sugar. Folks, gentlemen, we have to learn to be open with whatsoever we are going through. We bottle it up, and that's what's taking us out of here. That's why many of us, there's so many widows out there because their husband died, a cancer died, a heart attack died, everything else, and left them here with all of what we've earned, and all only for our next man to go enjoy it. Folks, let's start coming out and getting that relief and that release that we are looking for. And that's by us being open to wherever we were. I remember when that brother, the pastor,
What happened to my brother? Where did he go? He got cut off in his prime. Where did he go? He got his connection probably went.
You good? Hey, so brother
Yeah.
Pine, we got a gentleman on this call right now. I want to bring him on now, live and direct, straight out of the sprint capital of the world. Brother, brother, Pastor Dennis,
Go
my
ahead.
brother, thank you for coming on, my brother. Share with us a word about your situation, brother, Pastor Dennis. Come on and share with the brothers. Thank you so much.
All right, it's good to be in the presence of great men. And I must say good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are.
Good
So
evening.
yeah. Uh I really give God thanks for a serious wake up call. I was I was really dying and didn't know that I was dying to the point where it fell over even in my marriage. Um, take poor care of my body. My wife was a school teacher. Matter of fact, she was a principal, and we used to, like, when we go to the supermarket, we our trolley would be loaded with food with all the junk you can think of. And unfortunately, my wife passed over 8 years now. She passed from cancer, and I felt like I was following behind her too at a certain time in my life. Um, so we would, our food was consist of like rice, whole lot of rice and flour, whole lot of meat, whole lot of Not even the good coconut oil, the bad one. The bad one. And lots of sugar, Kool-Aid, syrup. And every day when I would like when I come into the town, I have to buy a lunch like every day. Like if it's not pork, it's cow head, cow foot, all these sort of lunch. And I would drink like Malta, and I'm talking about at least 3 Malta for the day. Still don't finish. I have to get a bun, and you know, bun in Jamaica, it's sweet. It is so sweet. Bun and cheese, and a box drinks, and that's how I used to eat. Plus, I didn't even drink water. But what I noticed is that my energy was going, and it takes a serious toll in my marriage, and I didn't even know what was happening to me, because I was totally ignorant of these things. And my sexual life was going down. I mean, a matter of fact, it has gone down. I shared this already, that at one time my wife said to me, you fall off the tree already. Because I it, and I'm talking about like my sexual encounter, like 1 minute, sometimes less than a minute, and such like. And but it was when my wife passed, I got the wake up call. I got a serious wake up call. Because at one time, I believe, because the doctor said when you reach in your late 50s to 60s, when you're 60s, you're going to lose your sex drive and all that sort of thing. And I believe it was because of age. And that's a lie. We honor doctor, we respect doctor, but boy, a lot of times we can buy what we get from doctors. It can be far from the truth. And I believe it for a while. But then after, my eyes opened, and I really, really, when my wife passed, I I changed my diet completely. And from the day I changed my diet, because the first thing, not only my sexual life, but dizziness. I was sick for at least three, two, at least 2 years and odd with dizziness. I mean, at one time I had to stay in my room and could not come out the room for at least 2 weeks. Couldn't come out the room. And I reached the point where I told one of the teacher who was close to the family plan to take care of my last son, who was about 14, 13 years old at the time, because I felt death. The dizziness, I felt death. I felt like I'm literally dying. I felt like it's over for me. And they did all kind of tests, and nothing. They couldn't come up with anything. But by this, it seemed like all this stuff was in my gut. And I changed my diet, as I said. I started to use like lots of ginger, lots of turmeric, start to use up a lot of green juice, drink a lot of green juices. I get rid of the baked products, the old rice, whole heap of meat, all these sort of things. And I'm telling you, my brothers, I'm telling you, right now I am 61 years old, and I feel right now like I am in my early 30s. I am firing. I mean, I felt like I am more stronger than when I was a teen in terms of my sexual life right now.
Hello.
So so it's very important when men check themselves, check to and deal with issues like this. Very important. Thank you very much.
Wow. I'm loving this. You know, it's important.
Guys,
I'm loving
mm,
it. I'm loving this. You know. So, brother Side, did you want to say something?
Yeah, yeah. Well, Julius is back, so I just wanted listen, guys. I try to be the glue that kind of gel with all the fractions. We bring all the fractions together and get us as one wholesome unit that's operating like like Pastor Dennis said, operating on all cylinders and flowing the way God wanted us to be. You know, so I appreciate everybody, and I'm making these phone calls and getting guys to come on. Guys, we got to do this every Sunday. Get the brothers here so they can get this education, so they can understand that they're not alone. We are all one team, one fight, and we can beat this thing if we help each other to educate each other. All right,
That's right.
because again, it's not mystical, right? It's not mystical.
It's not.
Yes, it's not, guys. So
Hmm.
thank you. I don't know if Julius wanna finish what he was saying before he got cut off, because yeah. So
Are you there, brother Julius? Are you there?
yeah.
yes, I am. I don't know at what point I got cut off. Is when I everything was so silent, so quiet. I said, "Is anybody there?" Looked at the phone, and I was off the Zoom.
Well,
Anyway,
prior to that, we were hanging on to your every word.
oh, okay. Well, I'm just grateful that I thank God for the brothers. I thank God for Sai, and I thank God for the platform that we have right now. I don't know if you all heard me. I was saying that many men, they are dying because of stress. We as men, we internalize everything, and we don't see the need. I uh I had testified about a road trip I had taken with two other brothers. We had gone to visit a brother, a 7-hour drive in Virginia Beach. Did you guys hear that part?
Yes, we did.
No? Anyway,
Go ahead.
oh, you did. Yeah, and this brother, his wife called and hi, Danny, when blah blah blah, how you guys doing? Blah, blah, blah. And she was inquiring, and at the end of the conversation, she said, I love you. And I was saying, Danny, say it, man, say it. Tell your wife you love. And then I asked him a question. He said, no, 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 I don't do that stuff. That's sissy stuff. Really? But I know most men, we were raised to keep our emotions in check. We were raised to keep our emotions uh, 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 being nonverbal when it comes to that. So, when he said that to me, I asked him, I said, Danny, you have so many kids because you always brag about, or every time you look at your wife, she gets pregnant, that you're this virile. I said, you have so many sons, have you ever one day say to them that I love you? Oh, guys don't say that to guys, or I said, are you serious? I said, I tell my sons them all the time. And guess what? They ain't no, oh boy, I almost slipped. They're not effeminate because of it. I see them loving their wives. I see them hugging their kids. I see them talking and being expressive in their relationships. I said, and you're saying now that as a man, you don't need to say that, and that's not necessary. Most of us men were raised by, by our elders, our older generation, the older men. And these men, they did not know how to express themselves. They did not talk. That's why many of them ended up dying before their wives. Women, they get together, they talk about every single thing. But we as men, oh, what can I do for this? What can I do for this? And we're looking around, and many a times we are in the group of other men, but we are so embarrassed of where we are that we don't want to express it. Getting on the sober bandwagon, one of the first things they teach you in the rooms, the AA and the NA rooms, that you have to admit that you're powerless. You don't have, there is a problem that you have to admit. And when you ask them why that admission is necessary, they will tell you, when you hear yourself talking about your issues, that's the start of your deliverance. We as men, we got to come together and talk about it. Ain't no the same man that is looking at you sideways and saying that they're probably going through worse. I've always admired Dr. Pastor Dennis from the very first time he testified. I'm like, whoa. I told the whole group, I said, I dropped the mic, I relinquish my crown. The crown, Pastor Dennis, is all yours. Keep talking, brother. Keep talking. Keep testifying of what you went through. Anyway,
A matter of fact,
my brothers, God bless
I
you.
was raised on the street.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
raised on the street. And at
Oh,
age 9, for the first time, I heard these words: "You are a jacket." In Jamaica, jacket means I'm not your father.
wow.
I suffer all my teenage life with those words.
Wow.
I was traumatized. I grew up with only pain and hurt. I set out on a path that I'm going to do vicious, evil things. I grew up with all these rejection, all these sort of things. But thank God for the mercies of God,
Amen.
and God helped me, and I got married, and I got 3 kids, 2 sons and 1 daughter. I have never in my life, not even for 1 second, have a father that put hand around me and said, "Dennis, I love you." But when I got married and I started to get my children, I told myself, what I never get, I'm going to make sure that my kids, especially my sons, do not go through what I've been through.
Amen.
And there's not a day pass when I do not hug my sons. And even when they grow up, I kiss them same way, hug them and kiss them. But my son, my older son now, he's 34 years old now. And about 2 years ago, I asked him, I said to him, I said, "Joel, give me a kiss." And he was like, "Daddy, I'm a man now." It's a grown man now, so that I don't do that anymore again. But I have poured into them what I never received. And that is one of the reasons why I understand clearly from experience why young men in Jamaica, so much of our young men in Jamaica are so brutal, vicious and brutal. And it goes way back to the lack of the father, the pain that they grew up with, the rejection that they grew up, because I'm a product of that, growing up. But, the word of God has changed things.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow. This has been amazing. I'm so glad
Man, hey, listen, hey,
I'm so glad I was here.
Hi, we're dropping, man, nuggets are flowing over here. Nuggets are flowing. I learned something. Jacket. I learned the jacket. That's beautiful. Lovely.
I learned a few other things, but jacket I already knew, but yes.
Pastor Dennis and guys,
Yes,
many
sir.
a years when my mother was alive, I went to her and I told her my oldest daughter, she got a doctorate in law right now. I said, mommy, I don't believe she's my daughter. My mother looked at me with a blank stare and she said, son, I didn't send you there. You went there all on your own. Now that's your jacket. You wear it. I said, wait a minute, hold up. You're supposed to be my mom. You're supposed to be defending me when I come to you, and you're gonna tell me this nonsense? She looked at me and she
Where's
just
the
shook her
jacket?
head. She had to wear, and you know something? I do believe I was speaking of, well, her mother was promiscuous, and I was, questioning the pregnancy. But, you know, I do believe this young lady is my daughter. She's 45 years old now. And I'm encouraging her right now to go be teach in the colleges or become a judge because, hey, she has what it takes. And I just thank God I listened to my mother when she said, "It's your jacket, wear it." So, Pastor Dennis, I know that jacket business.
Mm.
Yep, I know that jacket business. Anyway, guys, thank you for letting me share, and I really do appreciate you. I will try to make this my Sunday brunch
Huh.
on a Sunday from now on. Okay. All right.
Wow.
God bless y'all. I'm going back in silent. My
Okay, bye bye.
mechanic is banging away, and so I know you're probably hearing all of it.
I wanna thank not only you, brother Julius, but all of the heavyweights who came out today, including brother Sai, for chiming in and making today such an amazing session. Yes, we want to make this a stable brunch every Sunday, 7 p.m. UK time. I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody. The testimony was absolutely top draw. Absolutely top draw. Wherever it came from today, it was the creme de la creme. So I want to thank you all so much. What we have to remember is, my final thoughts. Okay, we have uh, Brother Robin. Brother Robin, please chime in, my brother.
Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sorry I missed some of it because I was in and out and I lost connection in the elevator. But Brother Pi, can you put the link for the YouTube site in the chat again? Because once my phone reconnect, I lost the chat, and I missed Julius's presentation, most of it. But Julius, we really appreciate your testimony. I've heard it several times before, and you'll be a great addition to the Sunday men's group. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, my brother. I will definitely get the link and put it in the chat. Not a problem. Not a problem. Um, is there any other brothers that would like to? I'm just looking for the link at the moment because I put the name in, but let me see if I can go to my channel and grab that link. Bear with me. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, my channel. Okay. Right. So this is my channel. Let's have a look. Right. Edit. Copy. Okay. Right. Let me stick that in the chat. There you go. Okay. So yes, yeah, what an amazing session. Bottom line is, I want to thank everybody for chiming in today. My final thoughts are is that uh, erectile dysfunction is not just a bedroom issue; it's a health issue. Ignoring it, bad idea. Addressing it, life changing. The good news, you have control. So here, all you got to do is identify your risk factors, make lifestyle changes, and also it's important that you see a doctor if needed, because if you don't know what the issue is, you need to understand what the issue is, and don't wait, because your health is your power, and the aim is to take it back. You know why? Because health is not mystical; it's measurable. We'll be back here at the same time next week between the hours of 7 p.m. UK time. I want to give enough respect to each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. And please feel free to bring somebody along with you.
Hey, I want
Thank
to.
you.
Can I say this?
Hold on. I want to say.
Go ahead.
Thanks to all the brothers that took my call and came on the call, guys. Thank you guys so much. We couldn't have done it without you. And thank you, Pi, as usual. Go ahead, my brother.
Let me just say this to us as men, quickly. Make sure as we protect our physical health, we must also protect our mental health. Because a lot of men are facing serious things and cannot deal. We have a lot of men right now just going crazy in Jamaica, turning madmen on the street because they're not protecting their mental health. So, gentlemen, very important that we protect our physical health and our mental health. God bless you. Love you, man.
Wow.
Okay, bye.
Brother Cleverell, did you want to say something, my brother?
No, Brother Pi, I'm fine.
Beautiful. All right, Kings. Amazing. All righty. Stay safe. Same place, same time next week. Take care.
God bless you. Bye-bye.